And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome for another episode of Studio Tour. We will do a studio tour this afternoon or this evening for my guests. And yeah, it's a new service or a new episode, a new kind of stuff that we do. It's to visit a workshop. And I find it really cool and really interesting. So yeah, before we jump into the studio, I just want to let you know what's going on the Puppet podcast. So as we grow and we make everyone really attractive about what's going on in puppetry world, we have this workshop we do with these wonderful Brazilian puppeteers. And here, oh, just a second, I will put it in the screen. So it's a workshop with Leonardo del Valle. So it's really amazing. This is just a second, I will have it open right there. So yeah, it's how to bring more life to your character using the right material. So it's a workshop we will do on September 20 at 1 p.m. East time. So yay, tune in, have a look on this wonderful Patreon that we build. And we have this Brazilian collaboration that we do. They start their podcast over there in their community. So we are really happy to do some partnership like that. So yay, this is what's going on in the Puppet podcast environment. And tonight we have another episode with someone from California, Mr. Axtell from Axtell Expression. So stay tuned. So yeah, now it's the time to visit the wonderful Andrew Kim, who is in UK, and he opened his studio for us. If you have saw the picture of his profile, you must enjoy that he have like multiple kind of puppets. And yeah, just let's have a look on the material and where you work. So everyone, welcome into the screen, Mr. Andrew Kim. Yay!
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thanks for having me, Caroline.
I'm so happy, and you have such a wonderful workshop. So I think everyone are really excited to see and to have some story about every puppet you build.
Fantastic. Yeah, really excited to. I brought a lot of my puppet friends out to meet you all. So, I'll show you from little puppets to some of the giant puppets that you see behind me. Just a little bit about where I am. I'm in Hebden Bridge, West Yorkshire, England, which is sort of in the north part of England. We're sort of between Manchester and Leeds, and I'm in a warehouse that I share with a company called Handmade Parade. So my company, my puppet company, is called Thingumajig Theatre, and my this space is also the space of Handmade Parade, which is a community arts, participatory arts. We do parades and lantern parades and things like this. This is an organization that I helped start about 13 years ago, and then I directed it for 10 years. But now I'm one of the contributing artists, but more focused on Thingamajig Theatre, which is the giant puppets that I'll show you in a second.
So cool. And I want to know, like, for people who haven't seen your work, like, I want you maybe introduce your path to puppetry.
Okay. Well, let's see. I started, almost 30 years ago, actually. In 1992, I was living in Minnesota at the time. I went to school in Minnesota in the States, and then I moved to Minneapolis, and I was always interested in theater, but I wasn't actually that particularly interested in puppetry. I didn't really know that much about it. I was just interested in regular, the more sort of standards theater. And I actually got a job working with a puppet theater, which is in the Heart of the Beast Puppet and Mask Theater. And if you're familiar with their work, it's a great company. It does a share of stage puppet shows and also giant puppets and street puppets for their annual May Day parade. And so I very quickly learned a lot about how to perform puppets and also how to make puppets with this company. And then once I started working with this company, I was introduced to different companies and different kinds of puppets, like, for instance, Bread and Puppet, which was really inspiring work for me, and also
Mm-hmm.
some of the more some political companies and some other traditional puppetry and that kind of thing. And so I spent about nearly 10 years in Minneapolis, working primarily within the Heart of the Beast Puppet and Mask Theater. So that's sort of my creative home. It's where I learned most of my stuff. I spent 4 months with Bread and Puppet, doing one of their big summer circuses and pageants, and went on tour with them in Appalachia. And then I also did some other work. I did a bit of work in San Francisco Mime Troupe. I studied some clowning at Del Arte. I went to Korea and Bali to study traditional mask theater, and all these things. And then eventually, after about 10 years, I decided to move to Seattle, just to sort of try my own hand at doing stuff. And I spent a lot of time working with Fremont Arts Council, who do the Summer Solstice Parade, and they also do lots of, not necessarily puppets, but lots of parades and a lot of spectacles.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a lot from that. I lived on Vashon Island in Washington, where I also worked with a great group of artists called Isle Wild, and they do actually also inspired by Bread and Puppet, do outdoor giant puppets and things like this. And then um, I actually came to England in first in 2002, just because I had an opportunity to perform in a mask play, and I met Kathy, who is now my wife, who is a British performer musician, and well, we just started a relationship and got a little bit, as relationships do. And so suddenly I find myself moving here, and we
Yeah.
decided we wanted to work together. And we're really not only a great personal relationship, but we also have a great professional relationship of creating
Mm.
work together. So we started Thingumajig Theatre in 2006. So I was still in the States, and then moved here. We got married, moved here, and started the company. And then very soon after that, I started the parade company as well, because I really missed working with the community and working on a large
Yeah.
scale, and that kind of thing. So it's always been sort of, Thingamajig Theater is the company that Kathy and I make our own work, our stage stuff, as well as giant puppets. And then Handmade Parade was where the sort of the community giant puppets were coming in. Um,
Wow, that's such an amazing story and path. It's so cool.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and it's a lot of diversified like influence. So I'm really happy to jump in your workshop and
Yeah,
see
yeah, great.
how it's right now, how your creativity expand and find a stabilization, or I don't know, how you anchor it
Yeah,
in England, and it's so cool.
yeah. I mean, it's been a really great experience. I mean, I think you adapt to what's around you, and with
Mm,
England, I found it was a slightly different experience than working in the States, in the sense that there's a lot more opportunity for touring and for
mm,
festival work, because the urban centers are so much denser in Europe, and
yeah,
so it's feasible to have a show, and to within 4 to 6 hours, there's dozens, hundreds even, of communities that have art centers and festivals and things like this. So in the States, it's really much harder because everything's so much further apart, and I'm sure that's true in Canada as well.
yeah,
So that you have a new show, you might perform it for 3 weeks, maybe 6 weeks if you're lucky, and then pretty much, unless you are a big show and can afford to, you know, move to another coast or something like this with the show, it's really not affordable to keep the same show running. But I think in the UK, there's a much more, or at least there has been, except for this year, obviously,
yeah,
tradition of touring things around, and so
yeah.
there's a lot more opportunities. And so at first we did do a lot of touring of smaller scale show, two had just Kathy and myself performing puppet plays. But then over time, people seem to really like our giant puppets, and there's a lot of festivals, and so a lot of work for just bringing puppets out and animating the space. And then so we did a little bit of both for a little while, but then the giant puppet started winning out. A lot of people were asking for it, and it was a real satisfying way of presenting work to a larger audience, and to not necessarily a theater going audience. So there's a lovely sort of sense of bringing that sort of wonder of puppetry out onto the streets, which we really enjoy. But then over time, a lot of our characters, giant puppets, are sort of interactive walkabout characters, but then we sort of missed the storytelling part of puppetry that you get in the stage it's harder to do outside. So a few of our shows, we started bringing in some of that element. So like I'll show you, in fact, you could see the mule here peeking out. He's got a whole story of immigration and migration stories built around him. So maybe, well, actually, shall I start showing you some puppets?
Let's jump into material and have some visual.
Okay, great. Well, you can see, I thought I'd start small and then work my way up.
Let's I do always that when I do mediation. Like you explain the puppetry, you start, what's the smallest puppet? So it's always good. And look at this space, everyone. And if you have like question, comment, you want to see more, just feel free to write it into the chat, and also to write. Whoa. Oh, you will see me smile. So cool.
This is an old man from a play that I'll stand in the back so you can see how the scale.
Oh, yeah. It's so cool in front of the camera also. It's funny because we can see the theater approach and now camera approach and the scale. So, wow.
So this is John. This is a story, old John. This is a story of World War I that we made. And he is sort of towards the end of his life, he remembers some of the experiences that he had in World War I. And so this is our main character, and then there's younger versions of him throughout the play.
Oh my God, that's
and
cool.
This is
the material is
it's paper mache.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm not used to working with a camera, so
I can
it's just
do larger
paper mache here. Yeah, and then the body's hard, and then this is something sort of. This is my hand right here. That's the neck, obviously. And sorry, this is a puppet podcast, so I'm going to show you the inside. So it's just a handle there that I'm holding. So very simple puppet, but it's got a lot of articulation and a little woven knitted scarf that has a little bit of extra movement, which actually is a big part of the story later on. And then fabric in the arms.
Yeah, it's a mix of fabric and rigid material, so it's living well. And if you want people who are watching, write in the chat where you are right now, from where you're watching. Is always fun for Andrew and me to see. Oh, we have people from there watching. Oh yeah. I love it.
This is Ugly Duckling. This is the star of our Ugly Duckling show. But once again, just a mix of materials: paper mache head and body. Actually, paper mache, and then little wood carved feet and on rope, and just random bits of fabric glued on.
Oh, so cool. And it's funny, the purple is interesting on this one too. We are used to see it black, but to have a little color.
It's just because of course the signets, they're quite gray, actually, gray and white, and I just thought just wanted a little bit of color, to sort of surreal kind of color. And then one last little smaller puppet that I'll show you, and this is actually a puppet from the story with the mule. Actually.
Oh, I want to see it closer like this. Oh yeah, like this. Oh wow.
I'll show you the scale. Oh
yeah. So it's funny how the camera is also different from the perspective.
So this is this is, I mean, I wouldn't be visible. I'm behind a screen when I perform this. And so this is a story about a South Sudan woman, Bagbula, and sort of her journey from her village that gets bombed to
Mm.
moving. So this is actually I'll show you Kit, who's just peeking around the corner. Shall I move to their bigger puppets? Is that all right?
Yeah, yeah. Let's move to the big
Okay.
one.
Okay. This is Kit. Come on, Kit. Come on, Kit.
Oh my
Can you see
God.
Kit?
Yeah, I put it in big.
So this is Kit, and he's a mule, obviously, and he is. Let's see.
So this is more for street show.
Yeah, this is a street show. So in this show, this is the mule. The Kit is. I'm gonna just angle the camera down
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
ever so
No
slightly.
problem. Yeah, we see
There
the
you go.
wheels now.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a cart. It's a whole puppet that's built on a cart. And so as we enter into the space, this is a whole complete puppet show. So we do a little walkabout, and we enter into a space, a big space, and people follow us along, of course. And then we have two of us. Kathy's riding on top of the mule, and then I'm pulling the cart and operate. We're both actually operating the head. And then once we get there, we stop and just draw a big circle with a rope, and then we perform the show. So on the sides of there's three different puppet shows that are built into the different suitcases,
Uh-huh.
um, and so that we sort of go from side to side. It's just all about story of my. Oh, let's see. Actually, I'll show you this. I'll show you a little bit. Okay, so pretend I'm not doing it for real, but I'm just show you that
Yeah,
example of that. Can you
yeah.
see that? Can you see that?
Demonstration.
See the side of
Yeah.
the mule? All right, so here we go. And then I just put on a brake. I'll go
Oh
in.
yes, break it
Of
and
course,
it.
I'll be performing, blah, 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 blah. That's not here. And then I will lower the side.
Wow.
I'm not sure if you could see that. Can you see that? And
Yeah.
then
Oh wow.
this music starts. And then it's a cranky.
Oh wow.
And then this is an Irish folk song across the Western Ocean about an Irish woman that leaves Ireland and looks for a better life in the Americas. This is drawn by Gareth Ogden, who's one of the artists that I work with in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the
Wow.
details? I can't tell if you
Yeah,
can
and I
see.
can
Yeah,
maybe put it in yeah, closer like this.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So, that's an example of what happens in this. And then on the other side, um, there's also some suitcase puppet shows and Magbula, the South Sudan woman. So there's more of a standard puppet show, and
Mm-hmm.
then another one that where a suitcase comes out and different characters
Wow.
are in it. So
That's
it's
so
it's a,
brilliant. It's
yeah,
one
thank
of
you.
the animal who will become the castellet and the stage actually. It's really,
Yeah.
really well thought, and we have good comments in the chat like awesome, amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
so it's as I said, I mean, it's a combination of use the giant puppets are great to cause get people's attention, the spectacle of it, and just so that animation of uh, uh, that magic of things coming to life and the spectacle of it. But then it's also a great way to bring people in and then do a little bit of storytelling as well. These are only short stories; they're 3 or 5 minute little
Yeah.
shows, and then as a whole so we could sometimes we do it as one show, then one show, move around in one show, but usually we get there, get a crowd, get them to sit down if it's possible, and then do I think it's a 20-minute show or something like that if we do back to back like that.
Yeah.
I'll get
Yeah.
Kit out and I'll show you some other giant puppets.
Yeah, and you have good comment, beautiful work, and we have someone who said he's remember the Berber in Indonesia.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
Kahana Woody said that right there. So
Um,
really nice to nice comment.
oh
Cool.
yeah.
Let's
Oh, actually, I'll show you. This is slightly different. I forgot to say. So the mule Kit, his head. I made a foam pattern. I
uh-huh.
sculpted out of clay and then used foam pieces to put together. I think in this country it's called plastizote, but I think in the US and probably in Canada it's called LD 400 or something like this.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I heard that
Yeah,
word.
it's a closed cell dense foam. And I wanted to try it just to see. I mean, most of my giant puppets are paper mache, but I wanted to sort of play with a bit of foam just to make it a little bit more. It's a bit soft, and it's a little bit more waterproof. But
Yeah.
it was kind of an experiment. When we go in the back, I'll show you a giant sea monster. And that was really quite useful because when you get to really big scale stuff, that foam is lighter than paper mache. But I do love
Mm-hmm.
paper mache because I like the use of paper, and it just feels a little bit more earthy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's
and
important.
also, it's not the best thing to, use new foam all the time for your puppets, but sometimes you have to do it for a very specific effect. I'll
Yeah, the
show you.
ecological work also is kind of part of our thinking. How I want to like,
Yeah,
I talk about that with Donovan in the last. If you haven't saw people the other studio tour, we talk
yeah.
about the material and how we are concerned about hurt.
So
Yeah.
this is a street puppet that it's actually protest puppet that we just made. Myself and another artist named Alison Duddle, who is also a puppet artist, um, and the local Extinction Rebellion group, Calderdale, which is the area around us. We made these two of these puppets for a local action, just trying to encourage the government to build back green, because it's a time where there's a lot of resetting of the economy, and
Hmm.
instead of giving it back to all the fossil fuel industries, we want to try to put pressure on the governments to try to reinvest in the economy, but try to use this as an opportunity to build back a bit greener. And so and the other thing that was really important to us is that it's a time when we're thinking about the climate, but also thinking about how the people in the global south and people in the Africa and Asia and South America, they're oftentimes the first to get affected by climate change, even though
Yeah.
they're the least to cause it. And so
Hmm.
we wanted to sort of honor some of the activists in that. So this puppet here, the face is inspired by a indigenous Amazonian activist named Paulino Guajajara, and he was actually indigenous activist who was murdered by loggers. And then the bird above that is a red spectacled parrot, which is an endangered species of the Amazon. And so this idea of course, this is what puppet can do, right? It's not a
Yeah.
literal person, or it's not a bird, it's not a tree. It's some sort of combination of all of those things. It's a spirit image, and hopefully, when you see it out on the streets, you get that inspiration and the essence, I think, which
Hmm.
puppets can do, which is really, for me, is really exciting, which is that it's not just you see the literal thing, but you see something that inspires a whole spirit
Yeah.
and an energy. And so, I mean, it's not all that we would do, but I think sometimes it's of course, this, as you probably gathered, this is my bread and puppet, inspired background, because
Yeah.
if you know bread and puppet, you know that this is very much similar, inspired
Yeah.
by their white
Political.
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the birds that you see in that sort of very simple puppetry, it's just three poles, right? And it's just fabric. And so it's got a really lofty movement and that's paper mache, clay sculpted paper mache
Hmm.
head. And then the body is silk batik. So, wax resist with painting with dye. So you get a lot of this really
Wow.
beautiful colors and textures.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And it's a quite a deep symbol about
Yeah.
environment, and just to see the object, we have a thought of like, okay, it's a message right there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important that we find a way. And I'm not, I'm not trying to preach or anything like this, but I feel like we need, as an artist, we need to engage in the conversation of our day. Whatever that might be, whatever just really gets you excited or gets you upset. I think we need to find a way to use what we can offer as artists to, to engage. And I think what puppets can do is they go past what words can do. They go past what, they go to directly to a more poetic, spiritual place. And I think if we find the right image and perform it with that intention, that we can really, move people in a different kind of way.
I love this. It's such
I will
well
show,
said.
but I want to show you more puppets. Is that all
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
we are ready for.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this. The sound looks a bit ridiculous right now,
It's
but this
Apple
is another.
puppet is always something.
This is another puppet that we have.
You make us in the mysterious. Yeah, it's good. We feel what's going on, what will happen, what he will bring. Oh yeah. Oh. So you're kind of riding the bird.
Yep. This is a dodo bird that we have, and we have two of these.
Oh,
And so this is just yeah. So we are in costume invisible.
Yeah, they see you and they see you riding the dodo.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And so this is great because they're giant puppets, yes, but they're very close to your body, and so these are great in big crowds. We could go, as opposed to some of the puppets that you see, they're quite, you need a lot of width and things like this. So we could go right onto the dance floor, into a festival or that kind of thing. And these are really fun in very interactive. And as you can see, it's a very simple movement. Okay, first of all, I'm using built on a harness, like a bass drum for a marching band harness.
Yeah.
And then built this structure that came off of it. And then the head is a paper mache head. Sorry, Dodo. And then it's got some ties in the back so that I could. What's inside is it's swivel so that it can go. First of all, it can go front and back.
Yeah.
And then the head, by pulling the strings, I've got up and down there. And then, of course, I've got side to side. And so over time, you sort of learn where to focus the puppet. And then I've got the most ridiculous little wings.
But it's perfect. He make more motion. So it's really... He can dance for sure on the dance floor.
Yeah. And once again, I like to use purple instead of,
Yeah.
I think what would normally have been gray, it's just a little bit more festive.
Yeah. The purple is a communicative color. Have you tried it? I do that kind of puppet, but on stilts.
Yeah.
But this kind of idea of riding something is kind of interesting to play also with the legs and how your legs. And you have a dog.
Yes, this is Panchan. Can you see Panchan?
Yeah.
He's a very good puppet. All right, what else should I show you? Oh, it's similar but slightly different.
Oh yeah, we see how we enter into the beast.
Well, this is a bit awkward because usually I would have somebody helping me, but
yeah,
I seem to be all by myself at the moment.
I cannot help you. It's the dog. The dog wants to help you.
Yes, okay. So this is just a more normal kind of backpack built on an old camping backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it doesn't look correct at the moment because I'm not controlling the head. But here we go.
The chicken, say Jen Murphy.
Dog's not impressed.
He's a lot of puppet. I would put it in bigger. Oh, no, I think it's better. So you see between the fur. The,
You get the idea.
yes, and it's really physical. I can hear you breathe, and it's really cardio activity. Is it heavy? It's the
No,
often question.
it's not very heavy. Let me just get out of that. Put it straight.
Yeah, that's the first question people ask. Is it heavy? Is it hot?
Well, we. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
This one's very, very light actually, but you do it's the. What's hard is that just holding the head pull. So the weight of the puppet is on the backpack, so all of it's like this, and of course you have to. It's sort of
Yeah.
built with nylon tubing, so it's got a lot of bounce, and then it's just turning the head and moving it up and down. So
Yes.
all of our puppets, we make sure that we could perform them for about 40-45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's our usual outing.
Yes, totally. And we have a good comment right there from Douglas, who said, "This is the best show ever." Thank you, Douglas.
You could say.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got some more puppets. Do I still have more time for puppets?
Yeah. We have time. You can bring some
Okay,
more.
who should I bring next? Oh, I know what I'm going to bring next. All right, it's going to come. Look right in the middle of the screen, right there.
Yeah. That's so cool. And everyone, feel free to write good comment, because Andrew is so generous to do that for us and share all of his secrets. And I said, like, we said this to have like the perspective. I really like the studio that we have like giant puppet all the way through the back.
No. 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 Oh. No.
Yeah.
Oh. No.
Oh my God.
No. Oh. No. 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 No.
I have no word.
No. 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 No.
Oh my God. This is a bike? You ride it?
Yes, I'm on a bike that was well, it's actually like 3 bikes. There's like a bike that was cut off, and then 2 children's bikes that were put up like this. It's a bit of a fun, ridiculous structure, and it's front and back pedaled, and the head is connected to the steering. So when I turn the head, I'm also steering at the same time, and I don't know why, but it's rear steering. So it's a bit of a ridiculous contraption, and it's not very easy on hills, but it's not going to win any races. But it's just, so I'm puppeteering the head side to side. At the same time, I'm steering, so I could go back, and then
all
and
with
then, of
one
course,
puppeteer.
yeah, and it's balanced so that I could open the with these ropes. I'm opening the head, and usually, and I can't really explain the mechanism. It was a lot of trial and error. This is Hieronymus the hippopotamus, and he goes out, and then with another person on the ground, usually Kathy on the ground, with a she's playing some music, and we have this whole sort of steampunk sort of doctor kind of role. The hippo, it's a mechanical hippopotamus, and he's not feeling very well, and so we have a couple little shows that when it stops, about why the hippo's not feeling so well.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And this one is fiberglass, which is the only one of our puppets that is fiberglass because the head was quite big. It's not my favorite material. I think if I were to do it again, I'd probably do it out of foam because it's really a hard material to work with.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try it because, and it is very waterproof, very solid, but it's a hard material to work with, and you have to have a lot of safety gears and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but,
because the smell and everything.
Yeah. But you couldn't have done this with paper mache. I don't think you wouldn't have had the strength for it.
Yeah, because it needs to be resistant. It's in the street on wheels, and it gets like a lot of.
Yeah, but also I'm gonna just back up I'll be back. Yeah. Hold on.
That's so cool. You go back here. It's so mobile, and I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed about all of that. And we have Pluto's, and it's completely magical. Wonderful, Andrew.
Oh,
your
thank you.
Studio and puppet.
So yeah, that one's one of our older ones, but it was a really great opportunity to work on that sort of scale. It was actually the first show that we made specifically for festival work. And so it was a big puppet. We had made big puppets before, but that was a big puppet that was specifically had a street show. So that was the predecessor of Kit and Caboodle, the mule about the stories of immigration. And then the last show, the show that we've done, it wasn't last year, but the year before, it's called Ghost Caribou. And let's see if I could, yeah, you could sort of see it there. I'll get in the puppet now, and this is with 2 caribou puppets, and it's a nighttime show. So it's an illuminated puppet. I'll show you in a second. So this is slightly different altogether again.
But Andrew, I have a question right there.
Yes.
From here, I put it into the screen. Is Shoshana, who asked, "How do you transport these?"
Oh, hi, Shoshana. I know Shoshana. Oh, yeah. We brought a show to your festival once. That's a great question, and this is another thing that that people don't necessarily realize, because one of the things of making big puppets or being a professional puppet company is that we need to make things that's also cost effective. So we have a van, we own a van, sort of a regular box van. If you're in Europe, you know, a Ford Transit, which is just a big box van. And we make sure that every show that we make can fit in the van. So that hippo comes apart completely. I mean, not the head that just comes off the body, and the panels. Actually, it seems like there's sort of a decorative sides, and all those sides hide bits and pieces that come apart. And even the bike structure is actually a bit that bolts off. And so it takes a little while, that one, because we're just learning how to do it. But like Kit, I mean, the mule, this one packs down beautifully. All the cases come off, the head comes off, and it just rolls into our van. And so, you know, we have a little ramp, we just roll in. So this is the thing. I mean, all our shows are either 2-person or 3-person shows, and they all fit into one van. And that's really important to be able to provide the show with as low an overhead as possible. Otherwise, because there's only so much you can ask for a show, and we need to make sure that we can pay for ourselves, pay for another performer at an official, professional rate, and also have something that reinvests into the company. I think it's really important that I think when you start out, sometimes you think, oh, let's make it big, and then we'll need 6 performers and 4 live musicians, and you do the show once and you realize it's just not, if you're going to pay people and if you're going to try to make a living off it, that's not feasible. So it's just sort of like, how much can you provide with as with as few performers and that fits in a cost-effective way. I mean, I would love to make a show that you could just get on a train with or get on a plane with, but I like to make big stuff, and so sometimes that's a little bit hard. But that's a good question, because the next thing you'll see, the caribou, they look really large. In fact, they're up to the top of the antlers. There's 4 meters, but we needed 2 of them, and so I needed to make the frames. The thing that nobody ever sees is that they're not actually the same size. The frames are made so they nest into each other, so the whole thing could fit into the van. Like when I was trying to figure out how big to make the puppet, I'd measure again the inside of the van and the doors, and then do scale drawings, and said, oh, I can make it this big and this big. And then even then it's like, oh, I'm not sure if it's going to fit. First time with the hippo, we didn't actually fit it into the van, even though it does fit now. It was like a jigsaw puzzle. We couldn't quite figure out how to fit it in, but it does fit now. I'll show you the caribou. Okay, so this is a little bit different because, as I said, it's a nighttime show. So in fact, I'll just show you.
Yeah. We are so excited. We have many, in Facebook, we have like the thumbs up, the art, and the little face who, and we have many, right now. People are interest about your work.
This is Ghost Caribou.
Oh my God. I think I saw some on your social media of this.
Oh.
Yeah.
I need to turn the camera up, don't I? This is a little bit less magical, but I'm gonna come over here. Oh, I can't reach.
It's perfect, but we see.
Can't reach, so I'm gonna turn the camera up. I need you to see the head.
It's really honest. You see this showing really good for you.
Okay.
Not too prepared. We just create it.
I'm gonna go back so you can see the head. There you go.
Yeah.
You need to see the head, really. And this is just a very, once again, it's like the climate justice puppet. It's just simple puppet, really, and it only has one moving part, which is the head. Can you see this bar? It's got 2 strings, and so when I pull it, head goes up and down. When I pull one side, it goes one way, and then.
So you have 2 sets of string.
Yeah.
One for the up and down, and one for the side.
Yeah. Wow. And then, of course, it's not pretending to be a real caribou. It's just the head, and then this sort of. I mean, it was really inspired by various folk traditions that, like you see in. We took a lot of inspiration from cultures that live with reindeer or caribou, but also just sort of like. Really inspired by some of these traditions that happen like in Bulgaria and Austria, and these people that have these masquerades one time a year, and just sort of that mix between animal and spirit. And so this is this is where all the bells and the sort of the rag look just gives it lots of motion. And of course this is a little bit different from the others because this is a lantern. I'm gonna come up so that. So this is it's an LED 12-volt system, and this is it's all made with Warbler. Actually, if I turn off this light here, might be a bit better.
Yeah, too. The night show.
Yeah. Is that? Can you see that a bit better?
Yeah, we see the effect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good.
And it's funny how the sound was kind of. It's like not Christmas, but at the same time, it reminds me some spiritual ritual, or it's so like as you said, from tradition to the street. It's
Yeah,
wow.
it's kind of funny. It's interesting when we perform it afterwards. It's people who, it really is. Once again, what I think puppets can do, which is that it really creates a magical space, and people, if they're willing to go there, they go there with you. And sometimes people follow us for the whole performance, and then afterwards they say, "Where are you from?" They want to know. They think it's some sort of actual traditional, masquerade or something like this, and we say, we have to say, "Oh, we're a theater company," but it's really satisfying to know that it has that power of that mystery and the ability for people to connect the natural world and the spirit world just by something that we've created. I'll put it like that, because
Yeah, and we
great.
have people who comment in that perspective also. The sound design with the Caribou, we had like Taylor say it's mystical, spiritual element, and
Yeah.
it's really good because we don't see that often. So I really agree that it's something
Yeah.
really special. Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful.
great. Yeah, and there's also a beautiful soundtrack that Kathy composed with it, so that goes in along with it. She has this cart, and the show. If you look at our website or our social media, you'll see some examples of it. We have it stops at one point, and does a bit of a folk dance, and then the puppeteers come out of the puppets, and we put a screen between the two caribou, and then we do a shadow puppet show, and we do a show that's very simple, show about the loss of habitat, that because of all the things that people are doing, there is a great loss of habitat, and it's a very great sadness because caribou have, in parts of this world, they're really losing their habitat because of oil production and just
Yeah.
and
We-
of course climate change.
yes. We have a question right there. What is the head made of so the light show through?
Yes, the head is made from warbler, which of course is ironic because it is a plastic form, and I do apologize because I do a show about climate change, but it's using plastic. But it's called warbler, WORBLA, and it is a thermoplastic. So we sculpt it out of clay, and then we make a pattern off that clay. And then we cut these sheets of warbler, and then we heat gun it, and then it gets soft, and then you push it into the clay, and then as it cools, it remembers that form. And the great thing about warbler is that you could put, you don't need any adhesive. You could just put two pieces together. So the bits and pieces where you see the lines,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's not just decorative. It's not just decorative. It's actually two pieces of warbler. So I made a pattern so that the lines look decorative at the same time, and there's just ever so slightly the bit of ornamental painting as well to sort of bring out the lines as well. And so this is it's a wonderful material that's been used, a lot of gets used for cosplay a lot, because it's very easy to use and it's very durable, but it is thermoplastic. So you do have to watch that it doesn't get, like, if you keep it in a hot van or a car, it will get soft. And so you have to be careful with that. So that's the head is warbler, and so is the antlers. But of course, I had to use a plastic, I think a wire and nylon form to make the shape of the antlers, and then wrap it in warbler.
That's so cool. That's a good
Yeah.
question. Yeah, and could you bring us to the back? I
Oh
know
yeah.
for the end. I'm so excited because you have
Okay.
more stuff in the back.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna because we're in the front of the workshop because we have really bad Wi-Fi in the back. But actually, I got more puppets in the back, so I'm gonna very slowly walk through, and I'll just show you some of the space. So that's the puppets we've seen.
Yeah.
And we're going back into the space here. This is a piece that we made. We were in a parade with a Kerala, the southern part of India. There's a community group there, and so they asked us to make a big puppet to represent them. And so this is a puppet head based on Kathakali, the traditional dance of Kerala.
Uh-huh.
You see some here. You're going to see some parade puppets up on the shelves, and
Mm-hmm.
some of them are ones that I've made, and some of them are like oh yeah,
Yeah, horses.
yeah. Oh, there we go. You're gonna see there we go.
Yeah.
That's David Hockney actually, and there's some horses and camels.
Yeah. We saw the Wi-Fi is lagging a bit, but we could have the idea. I hope we won't lose our guess.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it's frozen at some point. Okay, you're back.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna move very slowly so we don't lose the internet. Here. The white things above me are lanterns. These are paper lanterns that we do for lantern parades, kind of like the Caribou, but we use willow withies and bamboo, so it's very light and very easy to move, and good to have. Oh, here's a nice lion. I didn't make that. Kareth made that one. Oh, this is one of my favorite pieces up here. Do you see that muskox?
Yeah.
The one with the horns? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really nice piece. Actually, there's a few heads there. I do apologize. They're just general heads. Keep all the heads because sometimes I get to use them again. They're from various different puppets. Oh yeah, and here's the big sea monster. We made this. That was a nice foam piece, and that was for an opera. That was a commission that we made for. That's what is it? Cetus, who it's a Greek myth, Andromeda. It's the sea monster that attacks Andromeda. And here's a few other. There's a sunbird, and there is another of the climate justice warriors. And then there's some more puppets back there. You see a big phoenix head, and then that green head, sort of a strange. We call her Veronica. She's sort of half sort of a, I don't know, like a giraffe character. And then this is actually here. Oh, here's some frogs.
Yeah.
And those are lanterns as well, and they are a commission that we made for Chester Zoo. My actual workshop is in that dark bit. The light's not on, but it's really, really messy right now, so I'm not going to show you that. And that's the back of the workshop. What you don't know is that right behind that door is actually the river. So on a nice sunny day, we've got a really great place to work opening in that door.
Wow, that's so cool. It's like a museum. We can see each piece and do
Yeah. And it's really nice because each piece, of course, has a story and has a reason why it was made. And it's a little bit, I have to say that most of the time these puppets aren't out like this. They're just, they're in cases, and especially the ones we use all the time. But I brought them out because I wanted to show them to you.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I just dropped my phone. You still there?
Yes, we are there.
Okay,
And
good.
I was watching the chat because we have a question here. So I will, I wanted to bring this comment by Taylor. So what I did give to be able to explore and play with all of this wonderful creation. I think people really enjoy this, and it's funny. We want to touch it. We want to just wear the puppet and explore, and it's so cool. You are a great communicator also about your passion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a real pleasure and a real privilege to be able to do this, all the time, and as a vocation. Of course, it's not easy all the time, especially this year. This is a very funny year, but it's very exciting that I don't know what's happening in where you are in the world, but here it's just starting to open up again, and finally I've got a few commissions to make some new things, so that's starting to. It's finally, after a few months of nothing except a little bit of digital online work, it's finally starting to open up, and we're actually making stuff for. So that's starting to be exciting again. But yeah, I don't take it for granted. I think it's a real privilege and an honor to be able to, make beautiful things, and put as much passion into it as possible, and then just being able to present it to audiences and see what they get out of it. And that's an honor to be able to make a living doing that as well. But it's there's no illusion. It's, as you probably know, it's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of behind the scenes where it's not so pretty.
Yeah,
But that's
sometimes
okay.
you solve problem, and I understand totally. And it's good because England lead a bit also in the like to activate, and I saw some of the stuff like happening online in UK. So
Yeah.
it's really really cool. And if people are curious and want to see more of your work, want to contact you, where
Yeah.
they should go.
Well, I mean, you could go to the address at Thingumajig Theatre. That's our social media handle for Facebook, for Instagram, and for Twitter. So by all means, send us a message. And you could look at our website. The website needs a little updating, it has to be said, but you see a lot of what we've done in the past. And then send us an email if you happen to be around. Um, there's a few things I'm starting to do a little bit more training. Like there's going to be, I'm going to teach a mask making workshop. In a friend of mine has a house in Italy actually, and he's taking week-long sessions. I also teach some puppetry here as well. But I'm available. One of my favorite projects, and I'll have to just as a last little plug, is that I love to go and make giant puppets in a community with local artists. Like for instance, last year I spent about a month in Bulgaria in Plovdiv as for their capital of culture, and I made some giant puppets, taught some giant puppets, and or helped them organize a parade for their community. And that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy doing. And so, if there's ever an opportunity wherever you are and you need some giant puppets, or you want to learn how to make giant puppets, I'd be really happy to come and work with you to make your own puppets. And the great thing about it is that after the workshops, of course, they're your puppets to use and animate. We've done that a few times around the world, and like in Denmark and places in the States and in Santa Barbara and things like that. And it's really an honor because you get to work with local artists, and then you leave them with not only the puppets but the skills to make more puppets, and that's really satisfying.
Yeah, and the memory souvenir of you and the connection. It's
Yeah,
really a good thing, a good idea of doing those kind of project. I really
yeah. I mean, I think increasingly it's just we do a lot of traveling for our work, but increasingly as opposed to just spending all day or even a few days getting to one festival and then performing it once or twice and then coming all the way back. It seems like what I'd much rather do now is go and work for a week or 2 weeks,
Mm,
and work with the community and just really get to know places and people and to really properly teach things. And that's really something that I've enjoyed doing.
yes, and I wish many project will be like in the future and happen as you enjoy. Yeah,
I
you
hope so.
deserve it.
Yes, I hope. Well, thanks for inviting me. It's been real pleasure to watch some of your podcasts and just it's a great thing you're doing. And I just want to just do a little plug. And if you haven't been watching these podcasts, go back and watch some of them because it's really bringing the puppetry community together. And it's a time when we're all feeling very, very isolated and a little bit, scared because such the lack of work, right, and the lack of community, and so it's so important what you're doing. And so thank you for bringing us together like this.
Yeah, I think it's a duty as I'm able to do it. As you said, we need to connect in this
Yeah,
weird moment. And thank you for this passionate moment. I think we have people who write thank you in the chat. So yeah, it's a pleasure. So we stay connected and yeah,
yeah.
stay in the virtual studio. We can chat after that. It's so
Okay.
interesting. Thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yay, everyone. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to you people who are watching. And yes, let's create. Let's look what the others do and inspire instead the time to charge, and we will go back to creativity as we are always. So yeah, and if you want to see more of the podcast, we have one tonight in actually in at 6. So it's in 5 hours. So we will have another podcast with someone from California. So you can stay tuned, watch on the page, and have a look also on YouTube. We have many episodes there. And yeah, so stay tuned for all of those wonderful also workshop who are coming. I want to just drop it into the screen as we finish. So the next workshop we do is about also the building, and it's on how to bring more life to your character using the right material. So it's really important with these wonderful Brazilian puppeteers, Leo Del Valle. So yeah, have a look. It's in the just below in the interview, right below. Yeah. So thank you again for watching, and share this wonderful moment of studio tour. And we want to do that once a month. So if you know someone who have a studio and want to share his studio with us, just feel free to write us an email. So we will contact and make that happen. So yeah, have a wonderful evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and see you soon. Bye-bye.